We are coming to you from the city beautiful Chicago, Illinois, where this afternoon NBC Sports Chicago presents White Sox baseball. It's Ricky Renteria's young and talented Chicago White Sox as they get set to butt heads with a veteran manager, Ron Gardenhire, and his Detroit Tigers. Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Ken Harrelson with Steve Stone as we get set to bring you the finale of this three-game set. As you may or may not know, the Tigers have taken the first two. But one thing about it, Sox come in at 3-4, as the same record as the Tigers. Sox have shown some patience and speed so far this year.
Well, this is a different Sox team, and there is speed up and down this lineup, and we've seen it with a couple of guys that are making a big difference. Tim Anderson with 4 stolen bases, 3 walks this year. The walks are surprising for him. Yoan Moncada, 5 walks this year, 2 for 4 yesterday. Both of these guys can get on, both can steal. Together, they have all of the 5 steals that the Sox have, and Tim Anderson in Toronto showed you exactly what speed means. He gets on and then steals second base. Happ on the mound, a pretty tough pitcher. Then he steals third base, a tremendous lead. They can't get him. And then he runs his way into a manufactured run. That's a dimension the Sox have this year. Anderson epitomizes that as he makes sure the bat doesn't hit him, but he does score the run. So a different Sox team, and speed bodes well.
And got a little speed out on that bump for us today, too.
We got a guy who throws awfully hard. In fact, last year, the hardest throwing pitcher in our starting rotation, and that's Ronaldo Lopez. And the first time out was brilliant for him. He just threw it by the Blue Jays. He managed to go 6 innings. He gave up just 2 hits and 1 run, Donaldson's home run to right field. Other than that, he was pretty flawless, very pumped up about that performance. The other side of the field, Mike Fiers goes to the mound. He's 1-0 with an ERA below 1 against our Sox. They've seen him briefly, but they have seen him, and that always bodes well. So it's Lopez against Fiers, and hopefully today the Sox are able to salvage the finale of a 3-game series.
All right, finale of this 3-game series. So sit back, relax, and step it down because White Sox baseball coming your way.
Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. By Lexus, who encourages you to experience amazing. And by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Miller Lite, hold true.
What a beautiful day for baseball as the fans taking advantage of the sunshine. Granted, it is cold, but it doesn't seem to be affecting them very much as we show you our beautiful ballpark at Guaranteed Rate Field. And the White Sox at 3-4 come in against the Detroit Tigers on a day that we know there will be baseball. Jose Abreu, he's ready to go, swinging the bat very well. And the ball club, with their Sunday outfits, their throwback jerseys, has become a staple here at the ballpark and the Tiger bench. Miguel Cabrera back in the lineup, but he's a designated hitter today. So best thing about what's happened in this series, besides the 2 Tiger wins, is that Cabrera, after that tumble at first base, is back healthy, able to swing the bat, because when he swings it, as we saw yesterday, he is a difference maker in this lineup. The wind blowing toward the right field corner today. It's a chilly day. It's probably going to be in the high 30s. Hopefully we get to 40, 42 degrees, something along those lines. But with Ron Gardenhire at the helm of the Tigers and Chris Bosio, his pitching coach, as well as a brand new group running this ball club, they believe they're in good hands. Gardy was a terrific manager for the Minnesota Twins, and he's going to continue it here with the Detroit Tigers. He's one of those guys that will always have an open line communication with his players. They really love playing for him, and the Tigers will be no exception. So the White Sox take the field. And for the Detroit Tigers, it's Leonys Martin at the top, with Jeimer Candelario over from the Cubs. He's at third base. Miguel Cabrera, the DH. We talked about that. Nick Castellanos, red hot in the early going. Nico Goodrum taking over at first base instead of Cabrera. Mikey Matuk is in left field with John Hicks, Jose Iglesias, and Dixon Machado, who's been red hot in this series, hitting .400 and really driving in some big runs. Here's our UI Health defensive setup. The defensive setup for our White Sox, presented by UI Health. It's Nicky, Liuri, and Avisail left to right, with Yomer, Tim, Yoan, and Jose in the infield. Wellington Castillo in his familiar spot behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience Amazing starting pitcher is Ronaldo Lopez, coming off a brilliant outing. He went 6 innings, gave up only 2 hits. The only blemish, an opposite field home run to Josh Donaldson, but what's new, he torches our Sox pitching staff, but then again, he hits every staff pretty well. The umpires for the game this afternoon, the crew chief, Jeff Kellogg, has the plate, Chris Siegel at first, Marvin Hudson at second, and James Hoy is at third. There's Ricky Renteria. He realizes just exactly what this year is, and he's laying the foundation for better things to come. That being said, Ricky himself has said, look, we're going to play every game, every out, every situation as if this was a championship game. He accepts nothing less from his players. They understand that, and because of that, they respond. Now, he's got a different outfield today because he's got Lurie Garcia in center field. And so a little bit of change, also giving him another left-handed bat in the lineup as you look at Lurie. He's back and starting in center field. So they throw the ball around the infield, and the Sox trying to salvage the third final and should be the rubber game. It's not. They're trying to get one win out of this series before Tampa Bay comes to town tomorrow for 3 day games. So as Martin steps in, we're ready to play baseball, and I'm ready to turn it over to my play-by-play partner, Ken Harrelson.
All right, Stone Pony, thank you very much. And once again, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to White Sox baseball. As here's Leonys Martin, 30-year-old center fielder, and first pitch of the ball game is taken up high. It's a beautiful day, albeit a little bit chilly.
Just a touch.
That ball into short left field. That's going to fall. That's a Kansas City special right there. So good speed aboard.
Martin has always been one of those guys that can run. The question is, in the early going, You wouldn't expect Ron Gardner to turn him loose in any situation here, waiting to see if Ronaldo can get the ball over the plate. And he's got a pretty good hitter in Candelario.
Candelario hitting in .226, no homers, he's driven in 1. Ate him up inside. And here at the ballpark, 330 down the left field line, 335 down the right field line, 375 in the gaps, and 400 straight away center. There he goes. Quick release, but high throw.
Good pitch to throw, good pitch to run on apparently, and Martin with that good speed is in. So he steals a bag. Detroit came in with 5 steals in 7 attempts. That is the 6th stolen base and the 1st of the year for Martin.
Good thing about it right here is the 0-2 count. And the count remains 0-2.
Candelario is one of their leading strikeout candidates. He's got 7 of them. Notice Martin leads the team in strikeouts, that dubious department. He's got 8 of them. Ronaldo could use a strikeout here, and he's got a very good straight change. And Ronaldo will learn that whether it's timeout or not, throw the baseball. You don't have to throw it hard, but don't stop your motion in the middle because you really open yourself up to getting hurt. He didn't there, but it's just a good habit to get into.
He gone. Whoa. Good pick right there. Good pick by Abreu on a bad throw from Castillo.
Looked like Martin was daring Jose to throw it behind him, and you couldn't put the tag on, so Jose to the rescue.
Well, you got to be very, very careful here. In my all the parts in all of 7 decades, this is one of the greatest hitters I've ever seen.
He's magnificent. We saw yesterday, when you walk yourself in trouble and you have to face him with the bases loaded, it's not very pleasant.
Ball took off. So now he is into third on the wild pitch.
Sometimes when Ronaldo gets under the ball, it has a tendency to sail, and at 97 miles an hour with a sailing fastball, catchers have a hard time hanging on.
He had no chance.
No, it went by him, and it's going to be a wild pitch, a very wild pitch, but that's the life of the Lopez fastball. Everything moves, and if he keeps it in the zone, hitters have a hard time catching up. So now it's a different at bat with the infield in. Cabrera just looking for a fly ball, if nothing less.
Well, on one side of the page, it makes it tougher, and on the other side of the page, it makes it easier. It's just according to which way you want to go. As the count moves to 2-0, and that, for me, would determine which way you're going to go.
Yeah, there's first base open. Castellanos doesn't have great speed. He's on deck. And you look at extra base hit leaders, Miguel Cabrera at 32nd all time in extra base hits. That's a pretty impressive list.
Well, he's so smart. One of the smartest hitters you will ever see. And that's going to get to run in. Another RBI. What new for Cabrera. And very quickly, it's 1-0 Tigers.
Well, that's how the at-bat changes, because with the wild pitch and a run 90 feet away, Cabrera then thinking about not swinging at anything down. He knows it's a drawn in infield. He can't afford a ground ball, so he waits for one up in the zone and hits a little fly ball, and it's 1-0.
He just shoves it out there.
Yeah.
He doesn't swing at it. He just shoves it out there, and that's why he's such a smart hitter. When he's one of the greatest. I was talking to him before the game. He and Victor Martinez, two of my favorite players to have watched in their career. I've seen them their whole career, but they've been in the American League. But you don't become a great hitter just by talent alone. You become a great hitter by being smart.
He's got both.
Well, we talked about it on Thursday. 4 best right-handed hitters to that ball hit hard into left center field. But we got a man there. Makes the catch, and they'll retire the side. But they put a point on the board after half inning of play. It's the Tigers 1 and the good guys coming back.
And Hyundais at the best price. Go to webcars.com. And Ricky lines them up with Moncada at the top, Avi in the 2 spot, Jose in the 3 spot, Davidson the DH with Delmonico, Castillo, Garcia, Anderson, and Yolmer Sanchez playing 3rd, hitting 9th. The UI defensive setup for the Detroit Tigers presented by UI Health. Mytuk, Martin, and Castellanos in the outfield with Candelario, Iglesias, Machado, and Goodrum in the infield. John Hicks gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus Experience amazing starting pitcher is Mike Fiers. There you look at the numbers for last year. Strikeouts, almost a strikeout an inning. He throws a lot of high fastballs.
And before we show you our picks to click, you at home select yours as there is first pitch strike. Count very quickly, 0-2.
Fiers has a wipeout curveball, and then he throws a splitter also. The splitter intended to look just like his fastball, a little faster than the curveball, considerably slower than the fastball. We'll see what Hicks wants. That was a splitter. He shook it off, and apparently he wants the heat.
Well, I don't know what your philosophy was as far as being cold. I do know a lot of pitchers that I played with and played against, they had a philosophy of get it and throw it. Get it and throw it. And now the hitter, from a hitting standpoint, is there's a soft little out. From a hitting standpoint, you better, on cold days, be ready to swing the bat.
Well, that's really what you want. You want to work quickly, and more than that, Hawk, you know yourself, you want to, from a pitching standpoint, you want to buzz the guy in on its hands, because you want to get those bees working early and make sure that he realizes that you can get in, you will get in, and then you set them up for whatever you can
Well,
away.
hitters know that.
Yeah,
So what
good.
hitters would do is most of the time back off the plate a little bit.
That's when the curveball comes into play. Curveball and the slider comes off the play if I notice that he does back off.
And that's where hitters on the other side of that page will say, okay, he knows, he sees what I'm doing, so now I'm going to look for the breaking ball. That's why it takes, we just mentioned last inning, you can't become a real good hitter in the major leagues just by talent. You got to do some thinking and adjusting. Sometimes you adjust from pitch to pitch. As we talked about, the 4 best right-handed hitters in the American League in the last 50 years, Cabrera, not in order, not just Pujols, Manny Ramirez, and the big hurt, Frank Thomas. And all 4 very smart hitters. Attaboy, Avi. Going right with what they gave him.
Hawk, explain the change of Avi from the guy that came over here from the Tigers to the guy who hit 330 last year to the guy that we've seen in the early going here, hitting the daylights out of everything.
Well, there actually is about 5 or 6 words that'll describe it. He started last year. The year before that, he wasn't having a whole bunch of fun at the plate. Last year, he started having some fun at the plate. And that being the case, when you're having fun at the plate, you're not thinking about mechanics. The greatest thing you'll ever hear about a hitter, watch out, is that hit him. So Abreu aboard, 2 on, 1 out.
One can only wonder if that in any way, shape, or form is a reaction to the ball game yesterday when, believe me, they didn't throw to any of the Tigers, but they did hit 3 of them. And sometimes when you get hit a lot, sometimes a pitcher will take one, throw it up and in to perhaps the best hitter on the other team.
Well, the manager will say to himself and to his ball club, enough's enough.
Yeah.
Whether it be intentional or unintentional.
Sometimes you have to just, he didn't want to hurt him. He didn't throw it head high, but he got him.
I know one thing. There are a lot of managers. If you hit 3 of their guys, somebody on your team's going to get drilled.
Yeah. Sox and the Cubs with 8 hit by pitches, tied for the major league lead, which means they're throwing inside, which you have to do. I mean, if you don't throw inside, it's a field day for a hitter. He can look middle away and just kill you.
It's that old saying, show me a guy can't pitch inside and I'll show you a loser. And getting back to the cold element, the fact is that outfield straight up spread out. If you expect to get good defense on a cold day, you better work fast. You keep those guys out there going ball 2, ball 3, or working slow, and you might have a little problem with your teammate when you get back in that dugout every now and then.
I think they're going to come up and say to you, look, and as a pitching coach said to me, Ray Miller with Baltimore, I just gotten over there. He comes running out in the 2nd inning, nobody on base. I said, what are you doing out here? He goes, I got a message from your infield. I said, what? He said, they're falling asleep. Throw the ball.
I can't get it. I was talking with Mike Mazza and Scott Reifert. We were talking about before the game about some guys can play in cold weather and other guys can't. But if you're going to give those guys who can't a chance to play a little better, you better work fast. There's that overhand hook.
That was down out of the zone, and a nice job of laying off because it would have been pretty easy to go after that. That turns into a ground ball and 2. So now a 3-2 pitch with Avi at second. Short lead at second.
And that's ball 4. That will load him up. So with the bases loaded, 1 out, let's check out our picks to click. There you see Matt's going with, fans are going with Matt. Crew's going with Castillo. Steve's going with Leroy. And J.J. Shearer and all the great folks at Ditka's and I, we're going to stay with Yalmer Sanchez.
Worked pretty well for you last time. No reason to assume it won't work well for you today. He's off to a great start, by the way.
Couple of triples in that game. As here's Nicky
Davidson with 6 walks. He had 19 all of last year. And Hawk, when you're taking your walks when you don't necessarily walk a lot, what does that tell you, and what does it tell the opposing pitcher?
Well, when you're taking your walks, you got a chance to be a good hitter. When you're not, that means you got an expanded strike zone, and you're probably not going to be a real good hitter. He's softly hit, and he's caught. That gummit. Good pitch by Fires. Ate him up.
Had a good chance to certainly be a run, possibly not 2 because everybody had to hold up. And a nice job of base running by the Sox, because it's real easy to get doubled up here anticipating that it's going to the outfield. It didn't. Iglesias has great range off the end of the bat, slicing away from Iglesias, but he's there to make the play. And so a huge at bat early for Wellington. You don't want to let Fires off the hook, especially with bases loaded and 1 out.
Well, we had a shot yesterday. Bases loaded, nobody out. Couldn't put a punter on the board.
No, and you know, when that happens, you get turned away, and Fulmer's a very good pitcher. So you let him off the hook, and you saw the result. No runs in 5 1/3.
Fulmer's one of those guys, too, from a hitting standpoint. He is effectively wild in the zone and around the plate. Not so much at hitting guys, but he's effective because this ball moves well. And you can be looking for something. You can figure out maybe they're going to try to come inside. All of a sudden, here's one that starts there and just sails away. And that's why he's a good pitcher.
Yeah. And the cost was Cespedes, but the Tigers would not have made the deal without Fulmer in that deal. Sandy Alderson did not want to send him in that deal, but credit the Tigers and Al Avila, because he said nope, no Fulmer, no deal.
Well, that's something similar to no Eloy Jimenez.
No deal, no Quintana.
Quintana.
That's exactly right. And no Cease and no Quintana.
Cease is at least talked about. One of the guys and all the guys we got, and maybe certainly the top 2 or 3 as far as being impressive.
Well, there's no doubt that if you're not talking about him, means you haven't seen him, because if you've seen him, you realize how big an arm he has, and he is very impressive.
I only saw him from spring training while I was sitting on my fanny down in Orlando on my iPad.
It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I told you, I don't watch the ball, I watch the hitters. It's very impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Most of the hitters that faced Dylan Cease didn't want anything to do with it.
And that was just spring training. I mean, there's no end to the man's talent. Like every young pitcher, he's got to develop secondary pitches. He's got a good feel for those also, but you can't replace in evaluating a big arm, and he has a very big arm.
Good check. Good check by Wellington.
Well, talking with Ricky Renteria, he loves having Wellington Castillo on this ball club. As you look at Lurie, waiting to see the resolution of this at bat, but he says that not only with his bat, which is much improved after a big year last year, but the pitchers like to throw to him. He understands how to call the game, and when he has a young pitcher on the mound, he loves to have Castillo behind the plate.
So a big pitch with 2 out, 3-2, bases loaded. Just got a piece of it.
Good change, and that's the confidence of Fires, because he threw a 3-2 changeup. If he doesn't throw it over, it's a run.
Well, I'll tell you, he's got confidence in it.
Oh, yeah. He does that. And a good hook to go with it. Then he elevates the fastball. That's really his strength. He doesn't have an overwhelming fastball, but look at a lot of changeups. You're looking at a lot of hooks, and then suddenly that high fastball is really tough to lay off.
Well, it's 6 inches quicker. Good shortstop they have. Makes the play, and he pitches out of it. After 1, it is 1-0 Tigers.
Brothers Utility in Rhinebeck, Iowa. One of your favorite towns, isn't it, Rhinebeck?
The what?
One of your favorite towns, Rhinebeck?
They got my money in Rhinebeck.
Oh, I don't doubt that for a minute.
It's a fact, there's not too many towns that don't have my money. Boy, I know one thing. There are a lot of guys that get my money this winter.
Well, they took advantage of a sore wrist every now and then.
Well, I told you.
They'll do
For
that.
40 years I robbed them. Now they're robbing me.
They're going to get it all back and then.
And then is right.
Well, that's when you go to the $2 Nassau.
Not in that game. Here's Goodrum. Went through that one.
Goodrum's not going to be able to catch up. Very few left-handers can catch up to a stout fastball in on top of the hands because they have uppercut swings. They get very little chance of that if you can keep it there.
Well, that's why hitters on certain pitchers, it depends on the pitcher, obviously, but certain hitters, they have much more trouble against certain pitchers in cold weather than they would in warm weather because, like yourself, guys knew that you would come in on them, and they hate to face, in any kind of weather, a guy they know is going to be persistent inside. But you put cold weather involved in that equation, and they all of a sudden are at a distinct disadvantage.
You can just stop the walks. In cold weather, you make everybody hit their way on, you're probably going to have a pretty good afternoon or evening.
Yeah, you're going to have a good outing. Slowly hit. Yawn. So Goodrum is retired, and a reminder, your 2018 Chicago White Sox are presented by Guaranteed Rate. You can put it on the board with a perfect mortgage from Guaranteed Rate. So experience the difference at rate.com.
Shohei Ohtani, the star of the Angels, both pitching and hitting, hit home runs in 3 straight games. He's going to the mound today, and boy, they're viewing him as the next coming of Ichiro and perhaps Fernando Valenzuela, all wrapped into one guy.
Well, how about Babe Ruth?
And he can do it on both sides.
Well, it's funny. You know, there's another element. The game is different, much different in today than it was in years past. It's the media. I mean, it's so concentrated today. I can remember certain clubs. When I was with Kansas City, we would have, come back, it won't. We would have, as a rule, one beat writer on the triples.
Yeah.
And with Cleveland, maybe 2 occasionally. You go on, they don't go on the same plane with you anymore. They used to ride with us on the plane, but they don't go in anymore. And then when I got the Red Sox, I mean, they were 30 and 40 at a time.
How about the Japanese contingent that's watching Ohtani?
That's why I was bringing that up. I read a story before the day before the season started. This is Mikey. That Ohtani is not at all what we thought he was going to be. That was the day before the season started.
Well, that was because of spring training. You remember Ichiro in spring training did the same thing Ohtani did. Looked like he couldn't hit at all. All of a sudden, the bell rang and he hit. And he kept on hitting.
Yeah, see, he gone. I remember Pinella, when they got him, we had dinner together one night, and we were talking about when he was managing Seattle. And we were talking about him. And he told me, he said, you know, the other day we were playing you guys. And before the game, I asked him, can you hit the ball out of the ballpark? And through his interpreter, he said, yes. He said, well, hello. He said the first time up against y'all, which I remember the home run, he hit one about 440 over that right field fence. So he was just getting himself in shape.
I was going to say what he was doing was not giving any tips to how you're going to work him during the season because you didn't see anything in spring training. That was the year he never hit a ball on the right side of second base until Lou Piniella had that little conversation through the interpreter.
Yeah.
Because he was hitting it over the third base dugout.
He gone. And you can tell by the reactions of the hitters, he's got pretty good stuff today.
Bossard, when he came back to the ballpark this morning, most of the grass was frozen. In fact, Ricky Renteria came out there, and Ricky's observation to Roger was, there's ice here on the field. Roger says that in his 52 years of being the groundskeeper here, he's never seen an April like this, 4 days in a row of sub-freezing temperatures. I asked him, is this his worst nightmare? He said, yes, this and disco demolition. That's how bad it's been for Roger.
Well, he is certainly the man to talk to about the history of Chicago fields. He and his family.
No, there's no doubt that, number one, with this field, and you'd be surprised how many fields around baseball that Roger has built, he's consulted on.
Fenway Park,
yeah,
a lot of them.
Yeah, he's done Wrigley Field, another one. He's done a bunch of them, and, you know, every one is a magnificent field, and every one has phenomenal drainage. In fact, that should be Roger's middle name, drainage.
Oh, man, that's cold.
Well, I mean, look.
Talking about ice. That's outside to Leary. 1-0 bad guys here at the bottom of the second inning. Gap out there, big gap in right center. One out. Leary came in hitting at 281.
You'd love to see Tim get on because he is a premier base stealer on this team. He had to be caught this year, and this is not a bad combination to run against. Fires and Hicks.
First pitch strike.
I know, Huck, you've noticed in some games the fact that it seems like each and every umpire is calling the high strike this year. How's that going to affect the hitters?
Well, it should. And of course, in my time zone, most guys were high fastball hitters because anything from the belt down was a ball because of the balloons that the umpires had to wear. Well, the one thing it's going to do is it's going to speed the games up a little bit.
No doubt, bigger strike zone, certainly.
Yeah.
But also, we've had 5 generations of dead low ball hitters from both the right and the left side. Used to be just left-handers were low ball hitters, right-handers high ball.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is going to be the biggest addition to the hitting repertoire, so to speak. is over the past 15 to 20 years, you and I both have witnessed a lot of hanging breaking balls that were taken.
Yeah.
They're not going to be taken as much.
No, not if you have to protect the high strike.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's the one you jump on. In fact, that's the one you'd prefer.
Yeah, there have been in the last 15 to 20 years. There's a shot base hit. Yeah, there have been a lot of guys that would make an out and take a hanging slider or a hanging curveball and then swing a slider down and away.
That's a nice job of keeping his head down, taking it right back through the middle. And now Sox do have their speed merchant in a position to steal a bag with Yolmer up. It'll be interesting to see who's going to cover second base on the steal, because Yolmer's been pulling the ball from the left side. It should be Iglesias. Right now, both guys equidistant to second. And so they still go open mouth, closed mouth, which means Iglesias is going to give the sign. They're going to put their glove over their mouth, and they're going to show, in this case, Machado, open mouth or closed mouth. That's going to determine on a given pitch who's going to cover second base, because right now, both guys very close to the bag.
Pretty quick move by Fires. Well, to this day, a lot of hitters don't understand that it's really tougher against good pitching to cover up and down than it is in and out. One on, one out, and the 0-1 pitch. There he goes. And he just got a piece of it.
It looks like Iglesias at shortstop has his hand behind his back when he reads the pitch from Hicks. That's to tell the center fielder exactly what pitch is coming, because Iglesias can read it, especially when he's up the middle. And it used to be, this was commonplace, where the shortstop or the second baseman would put their hand behind their back and tell the guys what's coming in the outfield. Now they put their hand over their mouth. That's to see who covers second base. No, that time Machado did it.
There he goes. Very quickly leads. Meanwhile, in the center field. But here, backed up nicely by Martin. Well, the thing about the outfielders, that's part of the history of the game. I know the last 3 or 4 years that I played in the major leagues, playing right field, I knew every changeup that was being thrown.
I mean, you really should, because it helps you get an extra step that you wouldn't necessarily get.
Sometimes more. Sometimes more.
Time to go to our Chuck, who's down with some information.
Yeah, I spoke to Tim Anderson before the game. He says he's gotten the green light from Rick Renteria to steal whenever he feels like he can steal a bag. He did right there, and he's 30 for 33 stealing bases in the major league. So with numbers like that, green light all the way.
Well, just as Jose Abreu has a 3-0 green light, Tim can go when he wants, which is a good feeling for a base stealer.
That's foul back. 0-2. That was a rule. When you got your best base stealer on first base and there's 2 out and you got your nice place hitter up, he's going to run.
Going to run, and it's a nice combination to run against. Reason being that Fires throws a lot of changeups and a lot of curveballs. Because of that, if you don't use a slide step, a base runner, a good base runner, is going to get at least two steps on a guy who does use a slide step and doesn't throw so many off-speed pitches.
Moncada. That's all right.
Tim was going to steal third because Fires was not looking at him.
Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Ivy on deck. And a full count. Fires. He has thrown a lot of pitches in an inning and 2/3.
Well, we're looking at pitch number 41 forthcoming, and if he doesn't get Yomer, we'll move to the top.
There he goes. So Moncada strikes out. And we're still trailing 1-0.
Community Bank. Go to wintrust.com/socks to learn more. Wintrust Community Bank, member FDIC. Well, that's kind of nice. Come to the ballpark, you wear your Delmonico shirt, and then you play catch with the aforementioned Delmonico.
I mean, when's the last time you ever saw that?
I can't remember.
Iglesias. Yolmer throws him out. 1-1. Well, baseball has changed a lot of that, and it really has not been a lot of the players' fault. Players in the past, there were times when you'd have a rain delay. They'd go up in the stands, sit there and talk, sign autographs.
I think that was a great time in baseball.
Sure.
And also, Wrigley Field, they used to routinely throw to players when they'd run their between start running from left to right, and guys would throw you passes from the stands. Sometimes they try to hit you with an orange, but that wasn't too great. But outside of that, they'd throw you the ball, you'd run. Roger McDowell was the greatest interactive player with the fans at Wrigley Field probably in history.
He was something.
Boy, he was
a piece of work.
He was really something. Became a great pitching coach, was a terrific pitcher.
Yeah.
The interesting part about Roger was that he said after elbow surgery, he developed a sinker that dropped 6 inches.
Yeah. So yeah, he had one of the better sinkers in the game.
If you could patent that, if somebody could figure out how to do that, you'd send a procession of pitchers and get sinker ballers, you'd never be able to hit the ball in the air.
Got to figure out what muscle to take out.
Well, Anthony Romeo could figure it out.
That's high right side. And that and a reminder, see the Sox take on the Houston Astros on Friday, April 20th at 7:10. First 20,000 fans will receive an MLB Network White Sox tote bag. So be sure to stay after the game for the first Friday night fireworks of the season. So to purchase your tickets today at whitesox.com. Leonis Martin, single, stole second. Went to third on a wild pitch and scored on a sacrifice fly. And there's the second hit. He has both Tiger hits.
Bryce Harper leads the major leagues with 5 home runs. They're floating the $400 million mark. What do you think? Keep on floating, or you think he's going to get close?
Oh, I think he's going to get close. I really do. You know, the thing about it is, Steve, you're a businessman, know a lot about business, and there's one premise in business: the cheapest employee you have is a guy who makes the most money, if in fact he earns it.
Bring him into the park.
Put fannies in seats.
Watch him on TV. Listen to him on radio. And if your guy's going to be a star, maybe $40 million for 10 years isn't that far out of the equation.
I remember a conversation that a couple of buddies of mine had a long time ago in the old ballpark about salaries. And $1 million was the highest salary going at the time. That was the, there's a ground ball. Oh, nice play by Yon. Stay with a bad hop. And that'll retire the side. It is still 1-0 Tigers.
Streaming baseball, because your stadium should be where you make it. That cap is the way it's supposed to be today. That was last year's cap. It's beautiful. This year it's equally good looking, a different style of warm weather cap. However, it certainly helps cut down on the elements, and it is a cold day once again, so much so that they've been already called in Minneapolis, where Seattle was taking on the Twins.
Ivy can't get it.
How about the rain they've gotten on the West Coast? They're saying it's like a once-in-a-generation rain.
I'll tell you, we've seen some bad weather, unfortunately, last year. That's foul back. Avi singled into right field.
You know, last year the Sox had just one home run to the opposite field. That was tied for the fewest in Major League Baseball. This year you're going to see a whole lot more of those. You've seen a lot more already.
Bigger, stronger, faster.
Absolutely, everyone across the board.
In every sport.
You look at our team in spring training, it looked like a basketball team, and in some cases a football team.
Well, in every sport. I just got some text. What kind of a hat are you wearing that has a P on it? Well, this is Masters Sunday.
Yes.
And I am pulling for Ricky Fowler. He's not going to win it because he's too far back, but he's the one I was hoping would win it. And this is the P that he wears on his hat. This is one of his hats. And there's another base hit. And the P, of course, is for Puma. So the leadoff man aboard.
Well, just about the time you think that Avi is just looking for right field, he can hit his off-speed pitches to left field, as Iglesias found out. So that was an off-speed pitch, looked to be a straight change, and he just took it through the left side. So with Iglesias playing up the middle because his base hit in the first inning was to the right side, Avi now 2 for 2.
Another misconception about hitting home runs in baseball is the fact that you have to be real strong. You don't have to be real strong. I call them finesse home run hitters. You take a guy like a Don Mattingly or a guy like an Al Kaline. Al Kaline hit 399 home runs in his career, never hit 30 in a season.
Hank Aaron was a finesse home run hitter.
There's no question I was going to get to Hank at the last. Yeah. First and foremost, so to speak, you hit on counts. You hit on mistakes. You hit on hangers. You hit on hanging sliders, hanging curveballs. You don't have to be a monster, an animal up there at the plate to hit home runs. As Abreu, high.
You know, one of the greatest home run hitters across town was Ernie Banks, and he was pretty much like Hank Aaron in that he was a finesse home run hitter. He was a second row guy. He wasn't a light tower guy.
Rocky Colavito was like that. There were a lot of home run hitters, great home run hitters, who just weren't animals at the plate, just weren't strong. And then, of course, you get guys like Giancarlo Stanton, you know, and Judge and those guys, and they can just muscle it out of there. Gap out there in left center. Pretty good lead. Fires with a good move to first.
You know, Jose Abreu last year had 31 plate appearances with 8 pitches or more seen, which was tied for 6th best in the major leagues. But it shows you that if you are selective, and he is, if you have a good eye, and he does, you're going to get pitches to hit, and you're going to keep at-bats alive.
Well, you were a breaking ball pitcher and a very good breaking ball pitcher in terms of you could throw it for a strike about any time you wanted to. Certainly later on in your career. Very seldom do most breaking ball pitchers can they get 3 in one at bat over to her. I'm talking about 3 good ones.
Right. That's why you take them until they give you the fastball.
Watch out! Pick up the ball. High pop up. Nobody now fires is over there, but he'll get back in.
Well, I talked to Eddie Murray, the Hall of Famer from Baltimore. He hit 504 home runs and probably the second most powerful switch hitter in the game behind Mickey Mantle. And I said to him, the White Sox start you off with a slow hook every time in every at-bat. So why don't you just give up the fastball for one pitch and look for the slow hook and hit the daylights out of it? He said, because I don't want to hit the slow hook. And the pitcher's going to miss with a couple of them, and when he does, he's coming to me with the fastball. And that's what put him in the Hall of Fame.
Another smart hitter?
Very much so.
Breaking ball, nice job by Hicks. Davidson walked his first trip. It's hard to hit major league pitching. That's what Ted Williams always said. He said, Hawk, he said, there are going to be games that you go to that plate, you're going to get in that batter's box, and that guy you're facing 60 feet, 6 inches away, who's a major league pitcher, he's going to be better than you are that night. And you have to understand that because he's a major league pitcher. He said, and if you go for 4 and he hits the spots, which you will go for 4 if he hits the spots, don't even think anything about it. Just grab some bench.
How many times do you figure you went to the plate and did not get a pitch to hit?
Very few.
So at least one was a hittable pitch, and sometimes you fouled it back, sometimes you got it.
Sure. Very few times. I remember facing one particular pitcher who I did not like in a big situation in the ball game. He struck out Dalton Jones on 3, he struck out Yastrzemski on 4 with all fastballs. I went to the plate, the bases were loaded, now there were 2 out. He threw me 3 sliders, and I never swung the bat.
Not looking for the slider, were you?
But that's the very seldom. I would say probably in the course of the season, you go to the plate and you take a Corey Kluber or Jake Arrieta when they're on top of their game, or Kershaw. You know, I mean, what am I going to do with Kershaw's curveball? Unless he hangs it, which he doesn't hang many. What are you going to do? Grab some benches, all you're going to do.
Well, you saw, I think, up close and personal during the course of your career, you did see the predecessor to Kershaw's curveball, and that was Koufax's curveball.
I faced him.
And when you got that curveball, and you said that you could actually hear it.
Sure.
You said, well, what are you going to do with that?
What if Sam McDowell hits the spots on you?
Well, he did 4 wipeout pitches.
I know it. Best stuff to this day that you and I have ever seen.
It was awesome. But Sam would throw you 3 changeups. He's hit 3 home runs and beat him.
His answer was after the game, well, I knew he was looking for it, so I wanted to trick him.
Yeah. It was a good plan. That's the guy with the stuff that should have been in the Hall of Fame, but Sam had some demons to conquer. And
well, he was an alcoholic at a very young age, and God bless him, he beat it, and he became a counselor. Sam lives right outside of Orlando now, and I think it's been over 40 years now that Sam's had a drink.
I think, and the turnaround in his life was startling, and you know what? He was always a good guy. He just had demons.
Guy.
He just had demons.
Not a bad bone in his body.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right, the changeup beat him more ball games than any one pitch in his repertoire. Good lead. There he goes. And that's fouled away. Of course, 3-2, 1 out. Why not?
With an off-speed pitcher, and Fiers really is that, primarily off-speed stuff, from a hitting standpoint, because you saw pitchers of all shapes and sizes and velocity and none, how do you keep yourself back enough to take advantage of the off-speed pitch when you're, quite obviously looking for a fastball every pitch?
Well, you know the answer that I'm going to give. The answer I'm going to give is, believe it or not, I'd rather face a guy who's a one-pitch pitcher throwing 100 miles an hour than face a guy like Mike Fiers. They put it on him and call him out. So that'll retire the side. Meanwhile, it's still 1-0 Tigers. A 2018 White Sox wall calendar featuring Abreu, Moncada, and more. So purchase your tickets today by visiting whitesox.com or calling 866-SOX-GAME.
Right now, both pitchers doing a really good job of holding down the opposition, and they're doing it different ways. Ronaldo is just blazing by this Detroit lineup, and Mike Fiers is throwing a lot of off-speed pitches, a lot of finesse, both equally as effective. But the Tigers do lead 1-0 in an errorless game.
First pitch strike. Boy, he is Miguel Cabrera is the poster child for not afraid to taking the strike.
He doesn't care if he goes down 2 strikes because he knows he's going to get you if you make a mistake.
Not at all. Without a doubt, the best mistake hitter in this league, even today.
How many hitters in this league now do you think can set up a pitcher like Cabrera can?
Nobody. Nobody. Nobody in this league. I don't know about the National League, but nobody in this league can do it.
I think Ichiro could do it. I think he routinely set up pitchers.
You know, the more I think about, you know, people ask me all the time, Hawk, who was the best pitcher you faced? Who was the best first baseman you ever saw? Who was the best second baseman? All around the lineup, you know, who's the best, who's the best, who's the best. And, you know, when you get to right field, there were some great right fielders, obviously. I think you had to categorize them. He gone. That's what you call. He hit some spots on it, made some good pitches, so grab some bench.
Well,
you think that bothers him?
No, because it was a slider that just disappeared low and away. And bear in mind something. There's nobody on. He's leading off the inning. So he looks terrible on a slider away. You get him in a key situation and try to throw that same pitch, and that's a line drive into right center field because he's looking for it because he knew he looked bad on that one. He was fooled on that one. He won't be fooled with the next one.
Yeah, it won't be a Kansas City special he is in the right field.
No.
But talking about, you know, great right fielders, yeah, Clemente was a great right fielder. And so on and on. Maris was a great right fielder. People don't understand. He was really good. Kaline was a great right fielder. Maybe the best right fielder I ever saw was Ichiro.
How about Dewey Evans from the Red Sox?
He saved more runs than anybody because he had the opportunity to be in right fielder in Fenway Park. Dewey was the best I ever saw at keeping guys from go first and third. Ichiro was equal to him, but Dewey, of course, hit 40 home runs once or twice. But Ichiro overall, I would say, nobody was. A better way to frame it would be nobody was better than he was in right field. A great arm, great speed, great instincts, great positioning.
What I loved about Ichiro was that he was a fielding clinic. Every time you watched him, he set up perfectly. He got to the ball and got in throwing position. He always set up on fly balls when he had to make a throw, whether it be third base or home. And when you looked at him, you realized how well schooled he was. And if you just patterned the setup, the approach, how to charge a ball, how to get rid of it quickly, where to throw it, if you patterned yourself after him, you knew exactly what to do in right field.
He was as good as they come, put it that way. That breaking ball lays off. I remember when Brett Boone was the second baseman. Boone, in certain situations where the cutoff man, you had to hit the cutoff man, the right fielder, in this case Ichiro, Boone never had to leave it to dirt. Ichiro got to it so fast and so threw it in so accurately and hard. Now who's going to run on that? When the second baseman does not have a 100-foot throw to home plate.
Well, that's what people don't realize is that everybody thinks you run on the right fielder or you run on the left fielder. You run on the arm of the man who's receiving the cutoff throw.
That's right.
And a lot of guys know that. And so, you know, you get a weak throwing second baseman, they run on him. Doesn't matter how strong the outfielder's arm is.
Bobby?
Well, they're still playing with 3 in this league. So sometimes, you know, you think because it's cold, you just as soon want to end the inning. But with the fog rolling in, and bear in mind, I've been told that in 4 days or so it's going to be 70 degrees, and of course in 3 days we're heading to Minneapolis.
Well, you know, you can go to hell for lying like you can for stealing.
It is. It truly is. The warm weather is a-coming. It won't be here in time, though, however. Goodrum could not catch up to the Lopez fastball last time up. A weak ground ball to second was the result.
This guy does not look too shabby at the plate. That home run he hit on Thursday was impressive.
Home run on Thursday, and then for Cabrera, he came in yesterday and hit a ground ball, got a run, scored a run, took a leadoff walk in the 9th inning. So looks like he's got some skills with the bat. There's a slider. Let's see if Ronaldo can bury it in. That was a hanger. And when you do that, you hope, just like Clint Eastwood, you hang him high, because hanging him belt high, they go a long way.
Clint Eastwood. For some reason, in the last few days, I've been watching some old Clint Eastwood movies.
Good to Bad and the Ugly was good.
All of them.
Hang 'em high. Fistful of Dollars.
Sudden Impact, all of them.
Yep.
Never saw a bad one he was in.
The Spaghetti Westerns.
And what a nice guy. We were paired together out in Palm Springs at the baseball players tournament. This was before he was Clint Eastwood. This was when he was auditioning for Rowdy Yates in the Rawhide series.
Right. Remember that?
Yeah. Nice guy. And the funny thing about it was the next day I was paired with Michael, I forget his last name, who was also along with Clint auditioning for that same role.
Well, he lost it.
Yeah, he did.
And the rest is history for Clint Eastwood.
There's a strike. In fact, we were paired together, and we had 2 guys from L.A. They were going to play with us, 2 amateurs. They were pari-mutuel betting, and we saw these guys just loading up before the round started. So one of them came in. One of them was an 18. The other was a 17. Well, one shot 79. The other shot 78.
Yeah. That happens a lot in tournaments with 17s and 18s.
So after the round was over, I said, I'm not signing a scorecard, because I had decided to make it official where they could collect on the thing. I think we were 21 or 22 under. And they got upset. So we got into a little bit of an argument. Clint comes over and he says, he's not signing the scorecard. Well, that ended that. As it turned out, we would have lost by 3 anyway. Peanut Lowry's team had bigger thieves than those guys. But Clint was just a joy. Two out, 1-1 to count. Out for the 4th. Run on 2 hits for them. No runs on 3 hits for us. You got a decent lead. Does not go. And Mikey Matuk.
You might remember Mikey from Tampa Bay. Now he's gotten his opportunity with the Tigers, and he's trying to make the most of it. Off to a slow start this year.
There he goes. So he steals the bag.
We'll take another look. He gets a very big jump, and nothing that Wellington can do right now. Ronaldo is concentrating on getting out of the inning, and he is not holding the base runners as closely as he will. There's been a lot of great pitchers who didn't hold runners very well. Dwight Gooden and Greg Maddux were just two of them. They didn't care because they knew nobody would get a hit to score them.
Didn't bother Tom Seaver one bit.
Mikey hit .295 with Tampa Bay in 2015. Granted, just 41 games. But last year hit .276 in 348 at-bats with the Tigers. So getting his opportunity with the Tigers, hit 12 home runs, drove in 38. Certainly not bad.
So back-to-back walks.
Trying to ace him on a slider, but this one just dips out of the zone, and the inning moves on for a man who was claimed off waivers from the Minnesota Twins in 2016, April 23rd to be exact. And Hicks last year, respectable year as a backup catcher at .265 with these Tigers. He also played briefly for Seattle and was through their system before the Tigers claimed him.
Hicks struck out his first trip. Got a pretty good pitch to hit right there, and just more or less fought it off rather than clearing and grip it and rip it. And for all our Greek friends and loved ones out there, Christos Anesti. Alithos Anesti.
Is that today?
Happy Easter.
There you go.
Two on, two out. Boy, that's what you call those two swings. Definitely trying to stay inside the pitch.
You know, one of our team doctors, who's a wonderful man, Dr. Scott Palmer, is married to a Greek woman, and they celebrate Greek Easter. So I know Harris and your family also celebrating. So happy Easter to all of you, including the Palmer family.
Yeah, she's in church all day. That's almost every day she's in church.
I understand that the church service for this holiday goes on and on and on.
Scott's a good man. All our terrific medical staff there, and the numbers to prove it. Herm Schneider, for years and years. Fewest DL days served by a major league team for years. Yeah. Ryan Ball and their crew. It's amazing how many millions of dollars that Herm and his crew have saved this organization.
Millions of dollars, and not having to go dip down in your minor leagues to bring up guys because your guy is healthy.
He gone. Gas. And that'll retire the side. We go to the bottom of the fourth. It is still 1-0 Bad Guys.
begins at 6 with Bulls pregame live, or stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
Delmonico, Castillo, and Leary Garcia. Nicky. Did a little soft line drive. His first at bat to the shortstop, and it looked like there's a chance, slight chance it might get through, but no. Iglesias right there, as he usually is. Iglesias, just a terrific shortstop.
Now's a good time to just sit on the fastball. You get anything else, unless it's hanging up in your eyes, it's going to be a sinker away. Let's see if he goes that way.
He's just underneath it. That's what's called a just missed him.
Well, he was looking for it. He got it, but it was just a little farther outside than he would have liked. But a good thought process by Nicky.
You know, they tell me the kid is really doing an unbelievable job at shortstop. Is Didi.
Gregorius? Oh,
Said he is doing unbelievable.
he's their cleanup hitter. I mean, in a lineup full of bangers, he's the cleanup hitter for the New York Yankees.
I'm talking about defensively, too.
Oh, yeah, he's just a terrific player.
There's so many good shortstops in the American League.
But Mr. Correa in Houston. By the way, they added Garrett Cole to an already stacked pitching rotation. And that is some team. The Houston Astros are going to just destroy people this year. Unless, you know, a plethora of injuries were to befall them. But they're young, they're aggressive, and they have a wonderful ball club.
Castillo grounded out to short in a lengthy at bat. To end the first inning. We had the bases loaded. 1 out. And couldn't score. Iglesias going to get him again. And you can become an official member of the White Sox today by joining the free WhiteSox.com blacklist. Get breaking news, the latest videos, special ticket offers, and more delivered right to your inbox. So visit WhiteSox.com/blacklist to register today. Talking about black, I use black ink for regular outs, red ink for base hits, and I haven't used much red ink today.
I've done the same for many, many years, and I use green ink for a run batted in to show how many RBI guy has, as well as just a little black dot for stolen bases. Yeah. Everybody scores differently.
I know it's here. I've been in this game my whole life. And, you know, when I watch a game, not every game I watch, but a lot of them I still keep scoring.
Well, it keeps you in the game.
You know what?
It lets you know what happened before and maybe what looking ahead might happen here.
It's fun. Yeah. It really is. Leary, little emergency right there.
Well, that's what Fiers is going to do. He really doesn't want you to hit his fastball. He wants you to hit his off-speed stuff. He's going to show you the fastball just out of the zone, usually up face high, get you to swing at it and wipe you out with a breaking pitch. Like that.
Right on cue. 1, 2, 3, and we're into the 5th.
into your X1 voice remote and get live team stats on your TV. Change the way you experience TV with Xfinity X1.
Iglesias, Machado, and back to the top of the order with Leonis Martin. 1-0 Tigers. Good strike there.
So far, so good as far as Lopez is concerned. Only 60 pitches, and we're 1 strike into the 5th inning.
Timmy. 1 out. So here's Machado. He popped up to Abreu his first trip.
Well, in a 1-0 game, you look back to that first inning, and hopefully it will not come back to haunt the Sox. They had a shot at Fires, at bases loaded, with only 1 out, let him off the hook. There's only been 3 hits total for the Sox, only 2 hits for the Tigers. One of our old friends and an excellent first baseman overran a pop-up in the infield, and the Astros beat San Diego. That was the final play of the ball game, and Eric Hosmer, who doesn't miss anything at first base, just overran a pop-up. Game over.
I saw the headline on that. I did not see the play.
He just overran it. He came in toward the plate and looked up, and the ball landed 5 feet behind him, and then everybody walked off. And he's an excellent first baseman.
One of the best in the business.
Yep. But it happens to everybody.
He is certainly one of the best defensive players in the game. Well, I saw a former teammate of yours drop a routine pop-up in center field.
Not Paul Blair.
Paul Blair. How many times yours think that?
Well, that might have been the one time.
That's what I'm saying. And I remember saying, at least I finally saw Paul Blair drop a pop-up. So there's the walk. He walked 2 last inning. That's the 3rd walk of the game. And here's Leonis Martin, who has the only 2 hits for the Tigers.
Martin is yet to ground into a double play this year. There's the line so far. Ronaldo's thrown it very well. The 3 walks and 5 strikeouts means the pitch count should be a whole lot higher, but the Tigers are trying to swing at the first ball fastball because they know the slider and the changeup from Lopez are wipeout pitches. We've got a meeting at the mound as Wellington goes out there with his entire infield to try to settle down his young right-hander, get him back and focused, get him throwing some strikes, and think about a ground ball.
That's high and foul, out of play.
Well, whatever was said to him by Castillo, Ronaldo poured one just on the outside corner, unhittable. If you did miss the announcement, Juan Minaya was sent down to AAA. So his struggles out of the pen got him sent down, and he'll try to work out his difficulties. For a man who was 9 of 10 last year in saves, it was very surprising that he just couldn't get it done this year.
There he goes. Gone. Nice play by Anderson.
Well, terrific play, because the natural tendency is you got to come up with the hop. And many times as you come up with the hop, you can't get the tag down in time. One hop throw. Tim straight down on the tag. And Machado is retired. Nice job of it. I think Gardy wants to take a look and see if, in fact, the tag was there before the leg. So it looks like Joe Vavra will call in and see what the video boys have got. And I believe they're saying play on. He was indeed out at second base. Nice job by Castillo. Nice job especially by Anderson. That's 4 walks as the pitches start to pile up a bit.
Well, he's got a nice presence. You know how I'm big on that. Presence means so much. It's not talked about enough. When a pitcher's got presence out there on the mound, hitters notice it.
Well, he's very calm and nothing seems to rattle him. And although his control has been a bit of an issue at times, the stuff is so good that for the most part you can't square it up. He had him if that throw was a little quicker, because Martin wants the balk call from Chris Siegel. He thinks perhaps he either bent the back leg, which caused him to move to second base, but he was running on this pitch. The hand is in before the tag, but he was leaning to second and almost got picked off. There's one of those high strikes that Hawk and I were talking about that the umpires are calling more and more, which is going to cause hitters to go upstairs and try to at least fend that off and foul it back.
That issue is good for the pitcher, but the hanging sliders and curveballs, as we talked about, is going to be bad for the pitcher because more of them are going to be hit hard. Nice pick. Made it look easy. Homer. That'll retire the side. We're halfway home, trailing 1-0. Sanchez, then back to the top of the order with Yohan Moncada.
Tim got on last time with a base hit and promptly stole a base. 30 of his last 33 in stolen bases is Tim Anderson, so if he gets on, it's a big plus in this a 1-0 game. You'd love to have him on at the top before you move to Sanchez, Moncada, and the heart of the order.
There's a strike. Tim with a single and Steve Mitchell a stolen base. Ate him up inside. One out.
Chuck, take it away. What do you got for us?
Well, Yolmer Sanchez is up right now, and it's 39 degrees. They say the wind chill's around 33, 34 degrees. Yolmer Sanchez came prepared for this, and what is he doing? He's got Vaseline all over his body. His legs, his arms, his ears, his face. Says it warms him up just enough to play baseball.
Huh. Sounds like some golfers I know.
A wise choice, especially if you're in the UFC and you're battling somebody, because once he gets hold of you, you slip out. So Chuck may be looking for a career path change.
I should probably have used some Vaseline myself. It's kind of chilly down here.
You could have used that, and Yolmer apparently using it very effectively because he doesn't appear to be cold at all.
Just keep it off your driver, Chuck.
Yeah. By the way, that play he made at third base to end last inning was impressive. You nailed it, Hawk. He made that look easy. That's difficult.
He did. He makes a lot of tough plays look easy. Out in front of the off-speed. Tough. Hey, good play right there by Fires.
What you really want, and Goodrum is not their everyday first baseman, what you really want there is you want a letter high throw, and you just as soon have it before you get to the bag, because a pitcher sprinting to the bag wants to hit the inside part of the bag with his right foot. That was low, and he was able to make the play, but a good play by Fires. And again, Goodrum is not going to be out there a whole lot, but he's out there this afternoon and hits the inside of the bag with his right foot, getting there well before Yolmer.
Moncada.
You played a lot of first base, Hawk. I know in your career you played outfield, played first base, but as a first baseman, how do you know how far you can range? How far do you want to range before you let the second baseman take it?
What do you do when you're on first base as a runner?
Try to score. Check your outfielders.
That's it.
And so you check your infielders, see how far you range.
You better believe it. Every pitch, before every pitch. As that's popped up, and we're into the sixth, trailing by 1.
And there is the newest addition to the ball club, a former Tiger, Bruce Rondon. And you see in 123 games with those Tigers, a 5.0 ERA. You look at strikeouts, quite obviously, when you strike out that many more than innings pitched, you know that you have great stuff. He throws awfully hard, has amazing stuff. Question is, can he keep it in the zone? And the White Sox believe with their team and Don Cooper, he'll be able to do that. He'll be a welcome addition to the ball club.
Cabrera, first ball, honey, pops it up. He has the 1 RBI in this game. That's his 8th of the season. So 1 pitch, 1 out here in the top of the 6th inning. Well, Rondon, we've seen him in the past against us when he was unhittable, and we've seen him in the past when he couldn't throw a strike.
And I think, look, with Don Cooper, looking at what he does and looking at how to make him better, and the entire group trying to figure out what's the key to him, and they'll be able to do that. I think if they figure it out, the sky's the limit, because ability-wise, he's got it in abundance.
It's there.
Yep.
Well, and you know what you mentioned about Coop. We talked about Herm Schneider, and I've said this before. The 2 most impactful individuals that I've ever known in this organization have been Herm Schneider and Don Cooper.
And now Kurt Hassler out there in the bullpen working with guys. They got a great team working with our pitchers.
Kurt's done a terrific job.
Right, and they're both pitching guys. They're long-time pitching guys. You can't have too many instructors. You can't have too many teachers. And so the White Sox do it real well, as evidenced by all of the great pitchers that have been developed, all of the great pitchers who have been made better by coming here to the White Sox. And now with Coop and with Kurt Hassler, I think it's a great combination to work with these guys.
Well, one thing about it, they both have the work cut out for them.
There's no doubt about it.
As any 2 pitching coaches in the big leagues today have their work cut out for them.
Well, anytime you go through that deconstruction before the reconstruction, you realize you're going to have some really tough times ahead. But right now, they're sinking the foundation, laying the groundwork for a winning staff top to bottom, and it's not going to take too long, and they're going to be here.
Look at that. Wow. That's a hang woofum. Got to be honest.
When we talk about exit velocity, it's not just home runs or base hits. It's coming right back at the pitcher. And Ronaldo Lopez was able to get the glove up. He breathes a sigh of relief because this is a rocket. Unfortunately for him, it was to the glove side. It's our Xfinity high-speed action replay. Take a look at the high-speed action powered by Xfinity. And you know they call the third base the hot corner, and he's 90 to 100 feet away from the hitter. Pitcher delivers the ball. He's 55 feet away from the hitter with 105 to 10 mile an hour exit velocity. Guess what? The pitcher's mound is the hot corner, and now with the livelier bats and the baseball that might be a little livelier than years past, pitchers are becoming an endangered species, and if you can't defend yourself, you got some big problems.
Well, there's one mantra around Major League Baseball that's really come into play, and that is chicks dig the long ball.
Yeah, well, pitchers don't mind if it's 480 feet. That's okay. Hit it 480, just try to keep my head exactly where it was before you swung the bat.
Well, I told you the other day, watch out. I played them all. Football, basketball, baseball. Decent in all of them. Toughest position I have ever seen in my career in sports as a pitcher.
Because of the danger.
Because of the danger. Every time you throw that pitch, your career's on the line. Every time you get a rocket like that, that could have been just as easy as his face, and he had no chance of getting the glove.
Well, what's happening, Hawk, now is everybody is full max velocity just about each and every pitch. Yeah, they use finesse on the changeup and the breaking ball, but the fastballs are almost without exception full tilt fastballs. And with that, right-hander falls off to first base, left-hander falls off to third base. You don't have the ability to field like the guys who used to square it off. And I'm talking about years ago, Jim Cott, Greg Maddux, guys who won multiple gold gloves. Cott won 16 of them. Maddux right there, a little bit less. But because they squared up their delivery, they could field.
Mark Burley was right there with those guys.
And he was another guy that didn't throw all that hard, so he could square up his delivery. The follow-through was squared up, and consequently, he could field.
Well, the biggest thing is they just, Pepper used to be a huge part of the game of baseball.
And for those who don't, explain for those who never saw any pepper.
And I'm telling you, those pepper games sometimes got to be vicious. When you got one guy hitting pepper to 4 or 5 guys, and I've seen it whereas they were coming down almost full bore on these people, and they're only 15, 20 feet away. So you learn how to protect yourself.
How about flip?
Flips,
Same thing.
way.
You'd get 4 or 5 pitchers together. They would stand in a circle, and you would just keep flipping the ball as hard as you could at one pitcher or another. And then he had to have quick hands because otherwise you get hit in regions where you might not want to get hit.
I would say probably in spring training the White Sox play as much pepper with their pitchers as anybody in the team around. In other words, Major League Baseball is the one that cut it out. Okay, they used to play it right in front of the screen.
Well, I was going to say they were afraid you get injuries to one of the fans.
Yeah, but there's a little soft fly ball. Stayed with it by Nicky, makes the catch, and that'll retire the side. So we go to the bottom of the 6th. It's still a 1-0 Tiger lead.
First 2 home runs with the Sox. So, not to be outdone, Avi hit 2 bombs for his first career multi-homer game 4 years ago in Colorado.
Avi is 2 for 2, has 2 of the 3 hits today, and as I said before, we ain't seen nothing yet from this kid.
That's actually, the transition has been amazing from a real talented young kid who was a little thinner than he is now, from a guy with a world of potential finally translating into performance. It's been a pleasure to watch Avi's development.
Well, he's done something in his own way, and I haven't talked to him about it, but just by watching on his thought process. You know, in the major leagues, 99.9% of the hitters try to figure out how to hit major league pitching. Okay,
which is a tough thing to do.
The whole key is that Ted Williams was the first guy to start me thinking about this. You don't prepare yourself to hit major league pitching. What you do is you prepare yourself to be dangerous against major league pitching. There is a huge, huge difference in those 2 philosophies.
Well, you know, it's really interesting because in Toronto, you remember how highly touted Justin Smoke was when he came up to the big leagues. And yet, it took till last year when he hit 38 home runs to finally produce what Texas saw when they drafted him #1 out of Goose Creek, South Carolina. And the thing is, when talking to people around the team and other players, and John Gibbons, a manager, he said he stopped trying to hit home runs. When he stopped trying to hit home runs, he started hitting home runs. Sounds counterintuitive, but that's the transition he made. He just thought about contact, make contact, and he was strong enough, so his contact goes out of the park 38 times last year and probably a similar year this year.
When you're walking up to that plate, you're trying to hit a major league pitcher, you're in trouble. You're taking the worst of it versus walking up to home plate knowing that you're going to be dangerous against him. It changes, it takes the pressure off. The biggest killer performance in anything, in sports, major league sports, is pressure. Everything is self-induced. So how do you do it? You take the pressure off. You find your own, it's like a fingerprint. You get your way, I got my way, but mine works for me, might not work for you, and vice versa. You find your own way to take the pressure off. So when you step as a hitter, you step in that box. That ball hit high and deep in the left center field. But they got a man there.
Well, that wind just not going to allow it. You can hit line drives out, but not towering fly balls. Normally that is out. It went right at the wind trust sign. It drifted to center field, and Matuk was able to stay right with it and make the play. Normally that's a home run, but not this time.
But the best thing you'll ever hear about, and we have a tremendous amount of golfers who are big Sox fans. In fact, I was talking with some players the other day, golfers, and we tried to come up with another city that could compare with Chicago as being the greatest golf city on the planet. We couldn't find one. This is probably the greatest golf city on the planet, Chicago, with the most golf course, great golf courses around, really good players, really good amateurs. And one of the things about it is that the best thing you can ever hear about a hitter in baseball or a golfer is you let your thoughts dictate your mechanics, not your mechanics dictate your thoughts. Because if your mechanics dictate your thoughts, you're taking by far the worst of it. When you let your thoughts dictate the mechanics, now you're dangerous. If you go on that plate and facing a major league pitcher and you're worried about where your hands are, about what the launch angle is, where your feet are,
you're done.
You're 0 for 4 probably.
That's it. You are done.
Matt fouls it off. But again, as we talked the other day, there's room for baseball and all this stuff, and I'm happy it's here because it is a connection from the fan base to the game even deeper, because there are a lot of people out there who love the game of baseball who unfortunately could not play it, and the way they can connect with the game is with numbers.
Well, look at what fantasy baseball has done for the fan. I have some friends of mine. Mark Brock is one of those guys in Phoenix, Arizona, and they have a fantasy team and a keeper team. So, look, Fires continues to dominate. They're out of the inning. We'll move on. It's 1-0 Tigers.
just $1 of the season on April 11th as our Sox take on the Tampa Bay Rays at 1:10 p.m. Take advantage of this unbeatable deal as you cheer for our Sox all season long. So get your tickets at whitesox.com. Here's Hicks, the catcher. Checks it up. Home. So 1 pitch, 1 out. Hicks has had a couple of pretty good pitches to hit today, and he fouled them off.
Machado had some problems in the 5th inning. He led off first base on a pickoff attempt. He thought perhaps it was a balk. We'll take a look at Ronaldo, and that's not the pitch. That's not what we're talking about, but we will.
So here's Iglesias.
We'll take another look and watch the feet of Ronaldo Lopez. You see how he steps to third? Well, he probably wants to eliminate that move right there, because that little step will indeed be called a balk somewhere down the line. It's easily correctable. I mean, he's probably not going to do it again. I think that Machado had probably a good complaint there, but Chris Siegel did not call it. Either did James Hoy or Jeff Kellogg or Marvin Hudson.
Well, I think you and I both know a couple umpires that called it.
Yeah. One's a buddy of yours that you play golf with on occasion. And that is your mantra, by the way. He's one of your rules of baseball, right?
The 2 first rules in baseball for me, if you're going to win at the major league level, is you got to catch the ball. And the second rule is don't mess with Joe West.
Well, they're 2 good rules, but catching the ball certainly is one of the real important ones.
You cannot beat a major league team on a consistent basis at all when you're going to give them 30 outs and you're getting 27. That ball hit hard into center field. But we got a man there, and that's a quick, thank goodness, look at Ronaldo. Quick 1, 2, 3, 7th inning stretch, 1-0 Tigers.
The guys play What's That Smell? Always an entertaining game. That's today after the White Sox postgame live on NBC Sports Chicago. Time now for our American Sale Fan Cam. Bring the fun home. Alex Wilson comes in the ball game, on for the 4th time this year. The ERA a little bit higher than he would like. But he hasn't walked anybody in 7 innings. That's how you can give up 6 hits and still get away with pretty decent stuff. He has allowed a home run. There you look at the body of work so far. So Fiers was very, very good today.
He was really good because he struggled at first, hung some breaking balls and battled it out. That was it.
He gave up only 3 hits, all singles, 2 to Avi, 1 to Tim Anderson, and then a stolen base, and that was pretty much it. So the slow hook was working, the high fastball was working, and the fact that the wind blowing in also is working.
First 2 innings, he threw a lot of pitches.
Yeah, and then settled things down, but you're going to try to get it out in left center field or center field. You're going to have to really crank it. You're going to have to keep it below the wind, because other than that, you really have very little chance. Line drives will go out, but that's about it.
Well, right now, let's go down to our Chuck.
Hawk, I actually have a question for you, because obviously this is not the most ideal hitting weather for either team. Both pitchers actually pitched well. But my question is this: neither team has taken batting practice in 2 days. Does that maybe factor into potentially leading to issues for your offense if you haven't taken batting practice on the field in 2 consecutive days?
Well, it certainly does, Chuck, and that's a good question, because that's the problem for most of the players. For some guys, they don't mind it. Some guys, they go underneath, they'll take a few swings underneath in the cage. And just to get an idea, a feel for the bat, as there is ball 4. I know with some guys, if they have to miss batting practice, I mean, they go into a tizzy. They get nervous, they get scared, they just don't know what to do. So those are the ones that'll take up most of the time underneath. I know for me, I wanted to take batting practice. I don't care what the weather was. And it seems like the colder it was, the more I wanted it, because I was a terrible cold weather hitter.
Well, look, you can certainly take batting practice in the cages, but the difference is when you're taking regular batting practice, you're taking it with a background that you're going to hit in, and so you want to do your pregame prep right where you're going to do your during the game work.
And you're not taking batting practice from 60 feet 6 inches underneath.
No.
You're trying to compensate by throwing 15, 20 feet.
Been up and going. It's Daniel Stumpf. We've seen him in the series as Ron Gardner. Going to try to mix and match. He's got 9 outs to get. Fiers took him through 6. He turns it over to the pen. Let's see how effective they will be.
Oh boy, what a nice pass he made at that one. Yeah, there have been some players that once the season starts and once they get into June, July, where it gets to be warm and everything, some guys only take maybe 5, 6, sometimes maybe 10 swings total just to get loose, and that would be it.
Luis Avilan loosening up in the pen just in case.
Gap out there in left center.
Now Hicks doesn't have the strongest arm around, so you can afford to get a little bit bigger secondary lead.
Out and around it.
I think he might want to drift off a little bit more as the pitch is coming, because on a chopper in the infield, he's got to get to second base, representing the tying run in this 1-0 game. Takes a look down to Nick Capra to see exactly what might be in the mind of Ricky Renteria as he tries to find some way to get this tying run home and maybe more.
And once again, a reminder, tomorrow's game on your schedule for a night game at 7:10, but that's been moved to tomorrow afternoon because of the anticipated cold weather to a 1:10 start. A 1:10 start tomorrow against Tampa Bay in the first of that series. Right to the bag. It's a good thing the pitcher did not try. Well, he tried, but he just couldn't get there to make a play. Meanwhile, 2 out.
Wilson can't get to it, but unfortunately Machado can, and then it's easy. A 4-3 double play, and what looked promising now is down to 1 out left in the 7th. And so that is going to be it for Wilson, and that means that Stumpf will come in the ball game, and he'll be sprinting in if nothing else but to get warm. To the pen, but Lakeside Bank as you look at Daniel Stump. We've seen him in this series. In fact, he tried to knock one down with his pitching hand. Apparently came away unscathed. Never a great thing to do, but it's a reflex as you look at the numbers on Stump. And right-handers have done nothing with him. He has those reverse splits that you will occasionally see when you turn around, in this case, Lurie, to face the left-hander.
The area is going out to left and struck out. That's out of play right side. So the count evens at 1.
Dear friend of mine looking on, big White Sox fans, loves the winter caps. Eric Sloan and family down in, I hear, very warm Scottsdale, Arizona.
Softly hit into left field. Mikey Matuk is there. Nothing across. We're into the 8th, still trailing 1-0.
And it's a day in the life of Ronaldo Lopez, specifically this day. He was dominating. 7 innings, 1 run on only 2 hits, 5 walks, 5 strikeouts. The only guy to solve him, Leonis Martin, who was on all 3 times with a couple of hits. So a good day by Ronaldo once again. You can't square up the baseball on this young man. He has a great arm. He leaves trailing 1-0. It's time for the offense to hold him right there. But in the meantime, Luis Avilan will come on in and try to hold their offense right there.
Ronaldo Lopez.
I would think that
Wow.
I would think that Luis is going to pitch the 2 hitters, and he's not going to see Cabrera and Castellanos. And with that in mind, the bullpen's still up and going. How'd you like the arm of Lopez today?
He is a genuine thoroughbred.
How about that trade that Rick Hahn and
One
his
of the
staff
greatest
pulled
trades in the history of the game.
There's no doubt about it. There's no doubt
In the
about it.
history of this game.
Could be 3 guys that are going to take up 60% of your starting rotation in the not too distant future, with Lucas Giolito, Ronaldo Lopez, and Dane Dunning, who is a little behind the others because of his youth, but he can move the ball anywhere in the strike zone and command that zone. The best control in the organization.
There's a roller. This hit hard, but got it a little bit towards the end of the bat.
And the hard-throwing Bruce Rondon throwing in the pen. He usually warms up on the other side. We've seen him for quite some time on the Tiger side of the equation. Now we see the big right-hander in the Sox bullpen, Kurt Hassler, right there with him. And if he figures it out, he's going to be one of the real keys to this bullpen. And Candelario will move and hit from the right side, so he turns around for the first time today. Had no luck at all with Ronaldo Lopez. Tiger pen also, we've seen Joe Jimenez in both games, and now it looks like we're going to see him again. He is a very talented right-hander. Sox have done very little with him.
Two down. And here comes Ricky.
As Cabrera walked up, Ricky walks out, brings Rondon into the game, and we're going to see the newest addition to the Sox bullpen. So Avilan does his job, and here comes the big right-hander. We step out as he walks in, and we'll be back.
Patio to the fan deck. White Sox party areas are perfect for hosting groups of 10 to 1,000. So for more information, call 312-674-1000.
Let's head down to Chuck after we read the Lakeside Bank call to the pen, and there is the big right-hander, and I think Chuck has got a little bit more on him as you look at the numbers from last year.
Yeah, Bruce Rondone, former Tiger. He's come to this ballpark many times as a member of the Tigers, so much so that when he arrived here, instead of going to the new home clubhouse, he went into the visiting clubhouse on accident, and actually Miguel Cabrera was the one who said, "What are you doing in here? You're at the wrong clubhouse." But he's a guy who could average 100 miles per hour on his fastball a few years ago. Was thought to be maybe the future closer for the Tigers once upon a time. Struggled the last season. The White Sox signed him to a minor league deal. Had one appearance in Charlotte, and here he is.
Well, at 99 and 100 on his first two fastballs, there is no doubt that this young man can get it up there in a hurry.
Well, he's certainly got a big adrenaline flow going right
Oh,
now.
there's no doubt. I mean, look who he's coming to face.
That's what I'm talking about. And we have to go right back to what Steve touched on earlier, and we've talked about for years, and that is Don Cooper. It makes it so much easier. I know when Kenny was the GM, he would talk to Cooper. Hey, how about this guy named Steve Stone? What do you think?
Well, you think he's too old. That would be the first thing you think.
Well, let me finish. You think you can help him? Coop would say, yeah, I can. How about this guy named Jimmy Jones? Can you help him? No, he's an accident waiting to happen. When you get a pitching coach like that, boy, he is absolutely worth his weight in gold.
That pitch filled up the strike zone, but it's kind of tough as Coop is reminding Jeff Kellogg that, now I know you're calling the high pitch, but that was a low strike. Hopefully that won't turn out to be a difficult call, and Cabrera will make the third out. 1, 2, 3 in the 8th.
Now this is one guy you hate to have a two-strike pitch call. Oh, he got him anyway. He gone. And we need one to tie. Very much. Well, for my outside of our White Sox, for my favorite team, the Blackhawks. I love the Blackhawks.
Just a tough year for them this year,
Very,
unfortunately.
very tough. Yep.
You know, one of the things that we don't deal with, and we'll tell you about that in a moment.
One pitch, one out here to Tim Anderson leading off the bottom of the 8th inning, 1-0 Tigers.
And for the third time, we see Joe Jimenez, and he's been really good. 5 games, nothing. See strikeouts, walks, He's got a really good slider, and more than that, he pinpoints it a lot. You see right-handers hitting .091, meaning that he throws that slider low and away at will. And the left-handers have a chance, and that's why Yolmer has a good chance to get on.
J.J. Shearer's picked a click.
I took Garcia. Does that mean both Garcias?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
2-0 the count.
That one got a good piece of Hicks, and Jeff Kellogg just held him up for a bit as he retrieves the baseball. Umpires know exactly what catchers go through. Catchers know what umpires go through, and when they get hit, they give them some time. They'll dust off the plate. They'll do lots of different things as that one catches him both in the mask and the left shoulder.
Well, you know it's not too bad when he does dust off the plate with his shoe, with his foot.
Yeah.
If he gets out in front, points his butt towards the pitcher and bends over and wipes it, then it was a pretty good hit.
Yeah. Sometimes the catcher's knocked right into the umpire.
3-1, don't help him out. Oh, good rip, good pass at it there for Yolmer. They scored a run in the first inning, top of the first inning if you're just tuning in. A single, a stolen base, a wild pitch, a sacrifice fly by Miguel Cabrera. Just got a piece of that one. And checking a couple scores for you. Pittsburgh shuts out Cincinnati 5-0. Cleveland beat Kansas City 3-1 at Progressive Field. Seattle at Minnesota, that game was postponed. Got him. And you can watch every out-of-market regular season game live at home, in the office, or on the go with MLB.tv. Now, your subscription includes MLB At Bat Premium, allowing you to watch live baseball on your favorite supported devices. Blackout and other restrictions apply. So visit MLB.tv for details. Moncada.
Be good to get him on ahead of Garcia because he's got some big speed representing the tying run.
What that 3-2 pitch? I was looking at the promo there.
Slider?
To Yolmer, was a slider or a cut fastball?
It was a slider, and you know, down and away to right-handers, down and in to left-handers, and Jimenez has that pitch. That's one of the reasons why they don't do a whole lot with him, and we've seen in this series that when you've got 94, 95, touching 96, and can use a slider like that to both the lefties and righties, you're going to get your share of people out.
Well, that's what we talk about. If a guy hits his spots,
you're done.
Grab some bench. So that's a 1-2-3 inning for Jimenez, and we're into the ninth.
field. Coverage begins at 12:30 with White Sox pregame live, or you can stream the game on the NBC Sports app.
So here's Nick Castellanos. He is 0 for 3. He's going out to center. He's going out to right. And then last time up in the 6th inning, he hit a rocket. I mean, just a bullet right back to Lopez, who he didn't catch it. The ball found his glove. Thank goodness.
Well, he's got a couple of sliders over, and if Rondon gets that slider over to go with that fastball at 100, he's going to be a revelation in our pen.
You know, we talked about Coop being resurrecting a lot of pitchers' careers, so to speak. As the count 1-2. Same goes for some hitting coaches. When the general manager comes to hitting coaches says, "Hey, how about Sammy Smith? What do you think about that?" Kenny, can't help it, buddy. How about Zach Walters? Oh yeah, if you can get him, get him.
Well, that starts with scouting, where you have, should acquire, could acquire. But the guy comes up, and maybe for 5 years, you have no chance to get him. And all of a sudden, this guy becomes available. That's when you talk to your coaches and say, okay, this says should acquire or will acquire. What do we do here? Yep, bring him in.
Well, there's another aspect they have to put on it now. How much he makes.
That's a big aspect.
Two and two. And a full count. We talk about watching. The hitter will tell you what kind of stuff the pitcher's got. That at bat Cabrera had against Rondon was one of the worst you'll ever see McGill have. Here you go. But it doesn't bother Miguel Cabrera one bit. Until as Steve mentioned, next time he gets a 3-2 slider, he's liable to win a ball game with it.
Nice stop by Wellington as he goes down, gets it, smothers it, and then puts the tag on. So the first out of the inning via the strikeout.
Here's Goodrum. Grounded to second and walked twice.
Ain't gonna catch it up there at 98.
That old cliche, that old axiom, that old verbiage of the club. That was the first thing we used to say before the start of every pitch when we were in the dugout ready to hit the field. All right, boys, let's get in their bullpen in a hurry.
Not much anymore. With
No.
Shane Green loosening in the pen, he is the closer of this team.
Not hardly.
No. Now you get in that bullpen, and it's sometimes much more fearsome than the starter. Not in this case, however, and that was a straight change at 91. So we've seen the big fastball at anywhere from 98 to 100.
You don't want to speed up his bat, do you?
Well, in this case, you can throw it right by him. If you keep it up and in, he won't touch it. But we've seen the big fastball. We've seen the hard slider, the softer slider. Now we see the changeup. So with 4 pitches, we'll see another buried slider here. Let's see if Wellington can block it.
Oh, he just has to grab some bench pitch.
Well, that was not where he wanted to throw it, but very effective. If he can refine that, that's a backdoor slider. Wellington wants it in. Look at that. Catches the outside corner.
You can forget that statement.
Oh, wow. Pretty good.
Here's Mikey, I should say. Mikey Matuk. Strikeout, a walk. A little soft fly ball into left field. They have a run on 2 hits. We have no runs on 3 hits. Once again, a reminder that game tomorrow night is no longer tomorrow night. It's tomorrow afternoon.
And mercifully so, because it's going to be a little bit bitter tomorrow night.
On your schedule, 7:10 start. It's going to be a 1:10 start.
Let's take a look at the Verizon projected starters for at least the first game of the series. Their ace, Chris Archer, against Miguel Gonzalez. You take a look at this year. Both struggling a bit. And Miguel trying to right the ship. Archer just trying to get some work. They got rained out of a game. He was pushed back into our series.
After that previous pitch, a little knee buckling.
Hard to keep the fanny in there.
I tell you, it's. We talked about the difference in bullpens. A little quick pitch there, and here you go.
Face 4 men, fan 4 men.
We go to the bottom of the ninth. We need one to tie. Uber will make a donation to Chicago White Sox charities. Uber, the official ride-share provider of the White Sox and proud supporter of Chicago White Sox charities. Use Uber code GOSOX times 18 for $15. $15 off your first Uber ride.
Take a look at the reception that Bruce gets when he descends into the dugout. You can't do much better than 4 batters faced, 4 strikeouts. Nobody comes close to hitting the ball. Nice introduction to the team, and a man who is very happy as Shane Green, the closer, comes in. Sox are trying to get it done against a guy that's pretty tough. 1 for 1 in saves. However, a couple of walks in 2 2/3, and right-handers have torched him to the tune of 600, which is good because he's going to face a bunch of them right here off the top this inning.
Here's Avi. Avi, 2 of our 3 hits. Well, if Bruce Rondon can throw strikes and get that breaking ball over, you got a situation where it just absolutely changes the entire bullpen.
And with it, the entire ball club.
No question. Boy, I planned him perfectly. And he didn't know. That ball was scalded.
Well, it's a 1-1 game, and you're playing a no-doubles defense. So Candelario is on the line. He's there to make the play. You see where he is in the no-doubles defense, but it eats him up. And Avi hustles too much to even think about getting him at first base. He's safe easily. And there is the tying run.
So here is Abreu. He was hit by a pitch, popped to second. and fly to left. Left center. That slider outside.
Not time for a comeback win, you'd think. Jose was hit.
Well, Steve, you know, the thing is that you can bring in a big bopper and certainly help the ball club. But you bring in a closer, there is no comparison.
No, it certainly shores up a porous pen. Green has a good sinker, has a heavy sinker. He's been used as a starting pitcher quite a bit during the course of his career, but with his stuff and with the vacancy in the bullpen, they tried Frankie Rodriguez last year. That didn't work particularly well. And now they're going to Green to try to nail it down. But he's had his problems with right-handers.
1-2 the count.
Last year, he became a full-time Pensman. He did save 9 games. He was 4-3 with an ERA of 2.66. Came over from the Yankees, where he was basically a starting pitcher his entire career. And Detroit, only 3 starts in 125 appearances for them. So he is a full-time Pensman these days.
Big gap out there in left center. He almost hung that one a little too bad.
You take a look at the outfielders. They're as deep as you can get, especially with the wind blowing across toward the right field corner. They're playing a no double set, but there's plenty of room to hit it in front of them because Matuk, Martin, and Castellanos are almost on the track, respectively.
2-2.
There was the best pitch that Green
Yes, that was not a bad pitch to hit right there.
Nope. That's what he lives on, and Jose able to catch it off the end of the bat. That ball was out of the zone, but he was able to stay alive once having committed.
Yeah, we've seen him take that pitch hard into right field. Uh-oh.
It's a problem facing a sinker baller, and that is the potential of the ground ball double play, and that was a routine 6-4-3. After the slider, the heavy sinker, and turns into an easy 2 with that little easy hop that came up to Iglesias.
So here's Davidson, a walk and a couple of strikeouts. To the count, we're down to our last bullet.
Well, Green will most likely go with a slider, and Matt thinking about tying this one up. We'll have to take that to right center field unless Green hangs it. He wants a fastball in. He shook off 3 signs to get to the fastball in. That undoubtedly is going to set up that slider because he doesn't want to make a mistake inside late in the ball game with 1 out to go.
Well, he wasn't even trying to throw that fastball
that
for
was
a strike.
That was the show me, the push you back and show me. That is the slider.
And a good pitch to hit. He made a mistake and got away with it.
That one rolled more than it bit. And Matt had a shot. That's the one you take to right center, but he fouled it back. That was his curveball, and that one also a hittable pitch. Didn't really bite out of the zone. You expect him to try to bury one here. He's got a slider and a short curveball, and that one stayed in the zone a little bit longer than he wanted.
That's a pretty good job right there by Matt.
Yep, staying alive. Fastball away, go right with it.
And this ball game is over. So, Steve, not a good day to hit, as evidenced by the 1 run and 5 hits in this ball game.
No, and the Sox played an errorless game, got great pitching from Ronaldo Lopez, but unfortunately the Tigers a little too tough. They sweep the series, so Tampa Bay coming to town, and we will see you down the road, Hawk. Great job today.
All right, so for my partner Steve Stone, our Hall of Fame director Jim Angio, our producer Keon Dolashahi, our associate producer Chris Kamka, our technical manager Mark Harper, our stage manager Joe Grew, and also for Dave Chilachella, Frank D'Amato, John Hart, and Doug Bullard down in the sound. This is the Hawk. So long, everybody. Coming up next is Subaru White Sox Post Game Live. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on NBC Sports Chicago.